Alright, so I have a challenge here from TiagoP14, and he challenged me on my Twitch channel. Now, he had just gotten Marshadow, and Marshadow was actually banned to Uber by Smogon pretty much before it even came out, because of showdown tests. So he was like, well, I really want to use Marshadow. Can we use one Uber? And I'm like, fine, and I'll use an Uber that's not like a, covered legendary either. I decided to bring along Blaziken, just normal Blaziken, mind you. Which I think is fair, considering he has Marshadow, which is actually a really, really good Pokemon that I think can actually do pretty well in Ubers. So, yeah, should be interesting anyway. So he's going to leave with a Ditto as I leave with Claypool. I'm also going to bring the last Mega that came out recently, which I believe is Mega Gardevoir in this battle. So, that's pretty cool. Anyway, so he's just going to transform, and I'm really shocked he goes for the Calm Mind. I'm like, wait, what? Ditto is almost always Choice Scarf. So when he goes for the Calm Mind, I'm thinking, what, is he just trying to stall me out? I mean, I could win this if he locked in a Calm Mind. But I'm like, I'm just going to play it safe. Go ahead and switch into my Toxapex here, who resists both of my Clefable's moves, which is, I believe, Flamethrower and Moonblast, which is just a safe play overall. And as you can see, he can switch moves. So this is like the first time I've ever seen a Ditto on Wi-Fi that isn't carrying the Scarf to be a revenge killer. And that has to be pretty darn interesting. He's just going to go into his Malamar now, as I just go for the Toxic Spikes. I'd like to set them up to, obviously, get residual damage on my opponent's team. And, yeah, getting things poisoned is obviously going to play to my win condition a little bit. Any switch, I'm going to switch, and I go out into my Hoopa Unbound, who is just going to get knocked off, and that's going to hurt a ton because he crits me. He also gets rid of my Life Orb, which does not feel good. Thankfully, Malamar is even slower than I am. I'm just going to go for that Hyperspace Fury to get damage, and unfortunately my Malamar is just going to die because I lose, a thing of defense. I do steal his leftovers, which is the thing, I guess. It's nice to have them, even though, well, it's nice for him to just lose them, I guess. I always forget that Magician is even a thing because, yeah, it only really matters, at least in this format, when you get knocked off or you decide to go in without an item, which would be kind of silly. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and copy Contrary, which is actually kind of a bad thing for me on Mega Gardevoir, because that means I can't Calm Mind. That would make me lose Special Attack and Special Defense, which is what I actually wanted to do. So instead I'm just going to kill this guy with Hyper Voice, and he's going to have the perfect opportunity to go right back into his Ditto, which is going to copy Mega Gardevoir this time. And I'm like, okay, well, this guy's not Scarfed. I have no idea what his item is. It doesn't seem to be, obviously, Life Orb. So, yeah, I guess we'll find out. And there it is, the Quick Claw, which is an item that I think was banned in Gen 4, but no longer. It's still considered kind of like a hacks item, but at the same time, I have to admit it's pretty cool. And I don't know why I went for the Calm Mind here. That was a wait, no, I went for the Calm Mind. Oh, that's right. I can go for Calm Mind because my abilities Pixelate now. Herp, derp, derp. Yeah, the contrary thing only mattered if I was in my base form, which I wasn't even in, so... Yeah, ignore everything I just said. No, so I can Calm Mind, but I'm gonna die anyway because he's gonna outspeed me. First he, gets the Quick Claw, and then that time he just outspeeds me, wins the speed tie. So, pretty interesting, actually. So he has a... Ditto with a Quick Claw. I just sat there dumbfounded for the longest time, like, what is even happening to me? As I just go for the softball, and I'm actually really, really afraid of this thing, because he has a +1, I believe. Did he get a Calm Mind? I don't remember. But obviously, he's just using his Mega Gardevoir against me. And Quick Claw is an interesting item on it, because he's, he has the natural 50% chance to outspeed, but he has an additional chance to outspeed using Quick Claw, so I have to say, I don't hate it. And now I'm just going to go out into my, Ferrothorn, which I didn't want to go out into at first because I know that this thing carries Focus Blast because it's mine. So I'm like, well, he has the +1 now. I'm really hoping he misses. And he just switches out, which I have no idea why he didn't try to go for the Focus Blast. I mean, I kind of get it because he didn't want to die. If he would have missed the Focus Blast, I think he would have definitely killed me because he had +1 at that point. But I guess he just didn't want to risk the Focus Miss, and he's just going to go out into Biffy his Frostlass, which is kind of a really bad play because that's also weak to Gyro Ball. And, yeah, he's going to get taken out after the poison. So even with the Focus Sash, not going to matter because he has, obviously, the poison on him. So anyway, in comes Porygon-Z, and obviously he's just going to go for the Z conversion. It's what these guys all do, and why Porygon-Z has kind of returned to relevance here in Gen 7. So yeah, he's going to convert, which is going to increase all of his stats, and also it appears that Thunderbolt's in his first slot, so he's going to become Electric type, which actually I'm kind of relieved about because that means... he can't hit the, hit me stabbed on, get the adaptability boost against my Ferrothorn. Now, he could have, I guess, Aura Sphere. I think that he has access to that. No, he's just going to go for the Charge Beam, which I've actually never seen on a Porygon-Z. You tend to not really want to run any additional boost because the Z conversion should be enough boosting, to be honest. And Thunderbolt obviously stabbed. You're just hoping at that point to KO things with that, or your other moves if it gets resisted. So kind of questionable to have Charge Beam. It does give him +2 attack, which makes him really scary. But unless he has a way to really hurt my Ferrothorn, who's also an excellent special wall, then it's not really going to matter. In comes the Shadow Ball, and as you can see, it does less than half to me, even at +2 special attack from Porygon-Z. So that just shows you how dominant Ferrothorn can be, and yeah, I'm going to be able to hit him with Gardevoir enough that it's going to be a KO now. So down goes his Porygon-Z, and Crisis Averted. He definitely mistimed that Porygon-Z setup, I think. Obviously, Porygon-Z is meant to be a late-game sweeper, especially if you have the Z conversion, and that was the wrong time to pop it. So in comes his Uber, Marshadow, and this guy does a number of interesting things, depending on what his set is, and obviously the number one, thing that you're going to be afraid of is his Z move, which is especially powerful. But of course, his, Z move that it powers up, what is it, 7-star Steel or something like that. I don't remember what it's called, but it actually steals boost, so I had to be really careful with it against this Marshadow. I don't know what its item is. And there it is, Spectral Thief. And I think what I was talking about was the Z move powered up version of that. But yeah, he's just going to go for it. It's actually a really strong move anyway. And I don't really have any boosts, so he can't steal them. But that's kind of what Marshadow wants to do. It has like 130 base speed, so it's absolutely fast. It actually has really high attack just by itself. And if it steals a boost, it can pretty much counter sweep. And that's the reason I think it got banned so quickly. But he actually has nothing to do with my Toxapex. Toxapex actually counters Marshadow pretty darn nicely because mine is physically defensive. And yeah, I resist obviously one of his stab moves, fighting. So that's not so bad. And as you can see, he's just going to go back into Ditto. And this is one of the few times you're going to see a poison type as Ditto turns into a poison type. And thankfully, and I wasn't 100% sure about this mechanic, him switching into Ditto, which transforms into Toxapex, doesn't actually get rid of the Toxic Spikes like a normally switching into a poison Pokemon would. I wasn't 100% sure whether it would or wouldn't, and there you go, it doesn't, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, this thing's poisoned. I'm just gonna go into my Ferrothorn, which is pretty much a hard check to this because actually this would be a really annoying stall war, to be honest, because I have nothing to do to him really, and I know that he has nothing to do to me. I'm just gonna go ahead and set up Stealth Rocks because he sets up a layer of Toxic Spikes, which is annoying, but not really. I could just go into my Toxapex to get rid of them, because as I mentioned earlier, poison Pokemon get rid of those just by switching in, which is nice. And, yeah, he's going to still be poisoned. But, yeah, he's going to go ahead and switch out, though, into his Medicham now, which appears to be his Mega. And, once again, it gets poisoned, which is fine. I like the residual damage, and then, of course, the Stealth Rock damage. And I'm just going to get a Leech Seed on it as well, which really doesn't help as much as you would think it would, because, Mega Medicham is a wall breaker of sorts, and I do have some walls on this team, as you know. I have Ferrothorn and my Toxapex, which he has stab moves to counter both of me. Even though Toxapex is a physical wall, I'm not 100% sure I can take a stab psychic move. I guess it would be the Zen Headbutt from this thing. So I'm just gonna go into Clefable. I kind of went into this just to sack it, I think, and I'm going to take the poison, which is literally irrelevant to me, obviously, because I do have Magikarp, and yeah, it does Mega Evolve here, and he just goes for the Drain Punch, which I'm like, okay, I resist that. Oh, no, I do only go for the fighting resistance. And that just shows you the overwhelming power of Medicham, though. It hits, even though I had more than half, it hits me down to red HP with a resisted move that isn't even that strong. Drain Punch doesn't have a whole lot of base power, so, yeah, Mega Medicham is definitely really strong. It does a lot of work, too. So, yeah, he's going to go ahead and withdraw it, though, which actually was a pretty questionable play. He could have killed me, pretty much. Instead, he's going to go into Ditto, I guess, to transform into my Clefable, which I don't know what he thinks will do for him because, like I said earlier, I do have Toxapex, who resists both my Ditto's moves, so even if he does get some Calm Minds off, I'm really not sure what he can do. I'm just going to go for the Soft Boiled to get some HP back on my Clefable. And, yeah, I believe he just goes for the Flamethrower, maybe predicting Ferrothorn, but I don't know why I would ever go into Ferrothorn here. He gets a crit, though, so Clefable's down to yellow HP, and now I am just going to switch out into my Toxapex because, like I said, I can pretty much hard counter this and also get rid of the Toxic Spikes, which is something I wanted to do. So, yeah, he's going to go ahead and get his HP back to full. So this Ditto is actually healing Because obviously he's copying my wall-ish Pokemon. No, just straight up walls. I did bring quite a bit of bulky Pokemon on this team. Pretty much because I kind of knew he had Marshadow going into it, so I'm like, oh, I better bring some things that can take those hits. But yeah, he is going to go out into Medicham now as I just go for a Scald. It's going to get some decent damage. I go into Ferrothorn here, hoping he's not going to go straight for the Drain Punch. And indeed, he tries to go for the Thunder Punch. I actually predicted the Psychic move, Zen Headbutt. Now I'm thinking, wait, does he even have it? Because he just goes for the Thunder Punch, which I'm not really sure why he would do that over, his Stab Psychic move, because it's weaker. And obviously, he could have gotten a super effective hit with that. And I'm like, you know what? Let's double pivot. Let's double pivot into my Toxapex again. See if he goes for the fighting move, and hopefully get this thing dead due to his poison. And yeah, he does go for the Drain Punch, so that's pretty cool for me. Unfortunately, he is going to steal in just enough health to be able to live that, poison. So I'm like, well, let's triple pivot. If he goes for the Thunder Punch again, he's dead. But I want, just in case he does have that Psychic move and he's just been holding off on it, just going to go into Cleffy if I have to sack it. And there is the Zen Headbutt, so he was carrying it, I guess, holding it on to it until, yeah, he thought he could hit me with it. But that triple pivot's going to be able to take down that Medicham, and that's pretty awesome. And in comes his Ditto now, again. And, yeah, I'm just going to go into Ferrothorn, and that's because I kind of figured he would go into Ditto. Actually, is this his last This might be his last. No, I think yeah, I think this is his last Pokemon. No, he's 2 Pokemon left. I lied. But I did want him to transform into that, so I can go into my Blaziken. No, I go to Toxapex. Why did I go to Toxapex? I don't even remember why. Then I realized, hey, I can't even do anything on Toxapex. Let's go into Blaziken, who hard counters this. I think the main thing I was afraid of, I was afraid of him copying my Blaziken when I had speed boosts on it. But that's actually kind of a moot fear, because my Toxapex can completely wall my Blaziken, so I really shouldn't have been afraid of that at all, because I still have a Toxapex, so I'm not really afraid of a Blaziken reverse sweep. But, yeah, I'm going to go out into my Blaziken now, as that's all he has is this guy. I'm going to take some Stealth Rock damage for my trouble and get Power Whipped on top of it. And, yeah, Blaziken's gonna do what it does, and I'm not even gonna bother going for the Protect, because I know I'm faster than this thing anyway. I'm just gonna go right for the Flare Blitz, which, obviously, I'm actually gonna do quite a bit of recoil to myself, because of, obviously, the Flare Blitz recoil. And on top of that, the Iron Barbs, and I believe I'm carrying a Life Orb on top of that. Am I carrying a Life Orb? I don't remember. Yes, I am! So, yeah, that was a... Oh, yeah, there we go. That was a lot of recoil. But, I do have my +1 speed now, so... Even his Marshadow, as fast as it is, shouldn't be able to outspeed my Blaziken now. And I think... Do I protect it and make sure? No, I don't. It doesn't matter. I think I speed counted at the time. And, yeah, my Blaziken's going to be able to outspeed after +1 speed and murder this guy with a Flare Blitz. So, yeah, it doesn't even die to its own recoil, so... Yeah, very good game there. Very interesting game, TiagoP14, Uber against Uber. And all the other stuff that happened. And today's question of the day is going to be, what is your favorite Psychic-type Pokemon? And in this battle, we both brought Megas that were of the Psychic-type. He brought Mega Medicham, I brought Mega Gardevoir, who obviously play extremely differently. And as for me, it's always going to be Mew, just because it's like the original legend, and truly the only true legend in the Pokemon franchise. You guys remember, if you're old school players like me, there's the rumors about Mew and that spawning, Poké-God stuff on the early internet. If you're a newer, a younger dude, just look it up. I mean, it was a fantastic place. And it all spawned due to, there actually being a rumored, the Pokemon that was rumored, a true legend, like, stories were told. Just like, those false stories about you to beat the, Elite 499 times, all that. But the fact it existed, and it was literally a myth. But, yeah, I actually talked about Mew probably before. But, yeah, leave a comment about that, and see you guys again next time. Later.